Welcome to the study session where we are breaking down the BCBA 6th edition. Today we are breaking down Task B.1, which requires us to identify and distinguish among behavior, response, and response class.
We are officially entering Domain B, Concepts and Principles, which is a heavy hitter on the exam. It accounts for 14% of your total score, or about 24 questions. Think of Domain B as the dictionary of behavior analysis. If you don't know the definitions here, the more complex scenarios in the other 175 scored questions will be impossible to navigate.
Exactly. Let's start with the broadest term, behavior. According to the sources, behavior is any activity and movement by the organism. It's a very inclusive definition. It's not just bad behavior or social skills, it's everything. In fact, it even includes things happening inside the organism, like an action potential in the nervous system.
I love that point because students often forget the internal side. But for the exam, you've got to use the dead man test. If a dead man can do it, it isn't behavior. So, being quiet, staying still, or being hungry are states of being, not behaviors. If you're sitting there receiving a lecture, that's not behavior, but taking notes, looking at the board, and nodding are.
Right. Talking, eating, writing, and reading are all behaviors. But when we need to get specific for data collection, we look at a response. A response is a specific instance or one occurrence of a behavior.
This is where the granularity comes in. If the behavior is folding the laundry, then folding one specific shirt is a response. The sources point out that what counts as a response depends on how it is operationally defined. For example, if a teacher asks, "What is 2 plus 2?" answering for is a single response. If you're tracking a child's aggression, hitting is the behavior, but each individual strike is a response you would count.
Now, the most critical concept for a BCBA to master is the response class. This is a group of topographically different responses, meaning they look or sound physically different, that generate the same consequence or serve the same function.
This is the many ways to skin a cat concept. The physical movement, topography, doesn't matter as much as the payoff. Let's look at the laundry example again. You might fold pants completely differently than you fold a shirt, but both are in the same response class because they both serve the function of getting the laundry folded.
In a clinical setting, you'll see this with things like attention seeking. A child might tap your arm, shout your name, or throw a pencil at you. Physically, those are three different actions, but if they all result in you looking at the child and talking to them, they form a single response class.
You have to be careful on the exam because they love to trick you with topography. They might describe two behaviors that look identical, but are in different response classes. For example, if I raise my hand to wave at a friend, that's one class. If I raise my hand to block the sun from my eyes, that's a different class because the consequence, social connection versus sensory relief, is totally different.
That's a great distinction. As a behavior analyst, you aren't just a behavior counter, you are looking for these functional groups. If you define a response class too narrowly, only counting screaming, you might miss the fact that the client has switched to hitting to get the same result. You have to treat the whole class, not just one topography.
Exactly. And since Domain B is 14% of your exam, you really need to be able to identify these in a split second. If a question asks about a collection of facts about a single instance, think response. If it asks about anything an organism does, think behavior. If it talks about different-looking actions with the same result, that's your response class.
It's the foundation for everything else, from functional assessments to writing behavior intervention plans. If you can't tell what a response class is, you can't identify the function of the behavior.
For more practice distinguishing between topographies and functions in realistic mock scenarios, check out www.bcbamockexam.com.
Catch you later.
Bye.